Good morning, I'm Manalo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and View.
And here are today's headlines.
Canlaon volcano in Negros Island erupts anew this morning, producing a voluminous ash plume into the sky.
The Comelec issues show cause orders to 3 local candidates over remarks that may have violated their anti-discrimination policy.
President Bongbong Marcos oversaw the destruction of nearly 3 million smuggled electronic vapes at the Bureau of Customs.
And the Department of Education opens online public consultation for the revised senior high school curriculum. The public may provide feedback on the draft curriculum until April 11. An explosive eruption occurred at Canlaon volcano according to PHIVOX. The eruption began at 5:51 a.m. today, April 8, producing a 4,000-meter tall plume drifting southwest. With alert level 3 in effect, authorities are urging residents to stay vigilant and follow evacuation orders if necessary.
Now to get more details, let's talk to PHIVOX Director Teresito Bacolcol. Director, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Yes, sir. And ma'am, thank you very much also for having me here.
Yes, Director, just to clarify, what kind of eruption po ang nangyari sa Canlaon?
Well, we classify it as an explosive eruption. And when we say explosive eruption, it's a type of eruption that would have, that's quite violent and powerful. And this is produced by the rapid release of gas and pressure from magma beneath the Earth's surface. But again, if we compare this eruption with the eruptions that we had previously, last June 3 and December 9, this eruption is weak. This is quite weaker, but it lasted longer. Kasi minutes lang yung December 9 and June 3, but this one lasted for almost 1 hour.
Okay. Pero ngayon po, just to be clear lang po, ito pong eruption tapos na, mahina na po ba or wala na po?
Tapos na po.
Okay.
Tapos na po. It ended at around 6:47 a.m.
Alright. So, are we also, I know, mahirap naman po i-predict, pero based on the activity po na nangyari po ngayon, maaari po ba maulit ito anytime this day?
Yes, the possibility is always there. Pwedeng maulit ito. That's the reason why we're maintaining alert level 3. Kasi when we say alert level 3, hazardous eruption is possible within days or weeks. And pwedeng maulit ito because basically this is just a repeat of what happened last December 9.
Yeah, baka ano po ang dapat, if ever, anong abiso nyo sa mga LGU at mga residents around the area? Kasi baka mga iba dyan magkampante at sabihin, patapos na to. Hihina na to. Ano po ang advice natin?
They have to be vigilant. Again, huwag tayong maging kampante. Dapat yung mindset natin is that this will be followed by a more violent eruption. Baka yun nga po, tama po kayo, baka isipin ng mga tao na or mga people living around Canlaon volcano na we're over the hill. But I think we have to remain vigilant.
Director, I'd like to ask lang, will, in case na umulan habang nag-erupt ang Canlaon, what can happen?
Pwedeng ma-remobilize yung mga abo na binuga kanina as lahar. So isa din yan sa advice natin sa ating mga kababayan living near or along river banks. They have to be also vigilant kapag malakas magkaroon ng torrential and continuous rainfall. They have to be mindful of the possibility na magkaroon po ng lahar. So, again, kapag malakas yung ulan, they have to evacuate immediately to a higher place.
Para lang po may comparison tayo, sir, Director, mas madami po ba ngayon na abo na binuga as compared doon sa mga nakaraang eruption?
Last December 9 or last January 3, umabot ng 5 kilometers yung plume height natin. Last December 9, it's almost the same as yung nangyari kanina. So, but again, generally weaker itong kanina as compared to December 9.
As you've mentioned, ang areas po doon ay under alert level 3. Pero meron po bang possibility na tanggalin po itong alert level 3 anytime soon?
For now, hindi pa. Again, uh, we have to maintain alert level 3. Hindi rin po, wala rin po tayong nakikitang parameters that would say na we have to raise it to alert level 4. So, maintain pa rin natin yung alert level 3.
Okay.
Okay. So, and just to be clear also, dapat po walang tao within 4-kilometer danger zone. Tama po ba?
So, the 4 kilometer is the permanent danger zone.
Permanent danger zone, yeah.
So when we raise it to alert level 3, we extended the danger zone to 6 kilometers. So dapat walang tao doon sa 6-kilometer danger zone.
Okay. So ngayon po may advice din po ulit kayo sa mga kababayan natin doon
Just to close up.
just to close up regarding din po kasi sa dami po ng abo na ibinuga po nito, yung mga naamoy po ng ating mga residente po diyan.
Okay, so kailangan nilang magsuot ng face mask, lalo na sa mga yung may respiratory problems, yung may hita, pwede po kasi ma-aggravate yan. Yung abo kasi is made of fragments of volcanic glass, minerals, and fragments of rock. So nakakasira po yan sa respiratory tract natin.
Alright, on that note, patuloy po kaming makikipag-ugnayan sa inyo regarding this development po dyan sa Canlaon. For the meantime, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras sa FIVOX Director Teresito Bacolcol. Thank you so much po.
Maraming salamat din po.
Right, the Philippines and the United States have launched this year's COPE Thunder military exercise. Several FA-50 fighter jets from the Philippine Air Force and F-16 fighter jets from the U.S. Pacific Air Force flew together during a flyby at Clark Air Base in Pampanga. The U.S. aircraft are in the country for COPE Thunder, which aims to strengthen cooperation and enhance air defense capabilities and combat readiness.
Security is not the concern of one, but the responsibility of many. This year's exercise focusing on enhancing combat readiness and elevating joint mission effectiveness with clear objectives. And that is to train hard, think forward, and operate as one.
This year's COPE Thunder also welcomes international observers for the first time, with representatives from air forces of Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Japan, and Australia. The first phase will run until April 18.
Napakasarap ng pakiramdam na maisuot ang uniform namin dito sa bansang kinalakihan namin. Malaking tulong yung nakakapagsalita kami ng Tagalog dahil mas komportableng kausap ng mga Pilipino yung mga tao na galing din dito sa bansa natin.
Now, in other news, the National Security Council insisted that the so-called confession made by the 3 Filipinos allegedly spying in China was scripted. According to the NSC, the arrest may be an act of retaliation by China. Here's a report.
China Central Television has released footage showing the 3 Filipinos arrested for alleged spying. In the video, the Filipinos can be seen being interrogated by Chinese authorities. According to Chinese state media, the 3 allegedly confessed to espionage. However, the National Security Council has expressed strong doubts over these claims. Based on information gathered by the NSC from the CCTV report, China's image was portrayed positively in a statement of one of the arrested Filipinos. The report from Chinese state media also mentioned agencies called the Philippine Intelligence Agency or Philippine Spy Intelligence Service. However, such agencies do not exist in the Philippines. The NSC further noted that the confessions appear scripted. The NSC also believes that the arrest may be a retaliation by China for the recent capture of Chinese spies by Philippine authorities. Despite these concerns, the palace has maintained that the arrests do not necessarily indicate retaliation from China.
There is no yet concrete evidence if it is really a retaliation or a part of retaliation of the other country. We will not say that because there's no final investigation on that matter.
Nonetheless, the Philippine government said it is ready to assist arrested individuals. The NSC also clarified that the 3 Filipinos were scholars under the Hainan Government Scholarship Program, a partnership between the Hainan Province in China and the Palawan Provincial Government. Under the agreement, around 50 Palawan residents were granted scholarship to study at Hainan National University. This was confirmed by Palawan 2nd District Board member Ryan Dagsama Minta.
Mga graduates na po noong mga nakaraang mga taon sa visa po ng scholarship na yan noong 2017-2018.
Sir,
Maminta also revealed that one of the arrested, David Cervantes, was detained as early as October last year, though they only found out recently.
Noong last year po, ang kwento ng mga kapamilya, biglang nawala yung line of communication nila kay David Cervantes. Apparently, nakipag-ugnayan yung probinsya sa consulate at doon napag-alaman na naaresto siya noong October pa.
Can you
well,
imagine?
there's no...
Over pa pala yun.
wala kang proof na
Retaliation.
But sinasabi mo rin on the other side of the fence, sinasabi mo na mukhang scripted. So parang meron conflicting yung...
Well, NSC
Yes,
said scripted, pero ang Palace naman said,
Yeah, but
we cannot say na it's really
I
retaliation.
understand, but what I'm trying to say...
Nag-iingat sila sa word that they're using.
Isang gobyerno to, whether NEC ka or Malacanang Palace, you belong to one administration. So you're saying it's possibly scripted but no, not a retaliation. So when you script something, when you falsify something to harm another, isn't that a form of trying to create something to harm the other person? Diba? So parang, kasi we have to clarify all of these things because a lot of people may be traveling to regions of China, like China or Hong Kong. Baka ang mga ibang tao dyan matakot, teka lang, baka ako pagtripan dahil Filipino ako.
Yes. O
Diba?
kaya nga 'di ba yung ibang mga nag-aaral daw doon, yung mga magulang nila are trying to pull out their children na doon kasi nga daw baka daw natatakot sila baka mangyari din ito. So I'm really curious kung nasunod yung Philippine-China consular agreement natin na pagdating sa ganito mga pagkakataon 4 days after the arrest, no, supposedly na magkabilang panig na nangyari sa isang bansa between China and the Philippines, dapat na nai-inform na yung embahada natin or sa kabilang banda, sa kanila nai-inform na. Kasi upon hearing the interview of the board member sa Palawan, sinasabi niya, October pa daw. October pa na aresto, supposedly, no, itong 2 Pilipino o 3 Pilipino na ito dyan sa China. And yung mga magulang, hindi nila alam kung ano yung nangyayari sa anak nila. So, most probably, hindi din alam ng ng embahada natin.
Baka
Even
alam.
the Department of Foreign
Baka alam,
Affairs.
but if you're talking about espionage kasi, may mga precedents
And
na
even the family
sa
cannot
US.
know na, nakadetain yung anak nyo,
May mga
but we cannot tell you
Wait,
yung
may
details
precedents
of the
may
arrest.
precedents kasi sa Western countries na families and members don't know, but the state parties involved, alam nila, mas lalo na pag espionage. Countries try to keep it as secret as possible.
Yeah, well, I guess, I
I'm
get
saying
naman what you mean.
I'm saying lang, they try to keep everything as secret as possible because espionage is one of the highest forms of treason sa isang bansa. So, for them, they keep quiet until they find, baka may ibang spies pa dito, let's keep it quiet, hulihin nila. Sometimes kasi, minsan pag verified spy yan, papakawalan ka agad ng state yan. You know why? Para gagamitin nilang counter-agent Para mahuli, sino pa yung ibang spy, hindi namin ikaw ikukulong, pakawalan ka namin ulit, turo mo yung mga ibang espiya. I'm just saying yung kalakaran ng ibang bansa. I'm not saying yan ang ginagawa dito.
Pero yun lang yung point ko na sana, makausap natin sa panig ng gobyerno natin kung nasunod yung in full compliance ba ang China pagdating doon sa Philippine-China consular agreement na yan.
And the bigger question than that is ang mga basis mo
Yeah.
for thinking na they are spies na kung yung isa October pa nahuhuli, yung dalawa kailan nahuli?
Oo.
Bakit may ugnayan
parang
sila?
I read about this dun sa kanilang article na parang there's a certain Ricky Herrera na Filipino who recruited these students na allegedly spy daw. Na parang after nilang mag-graduate, bumalik dito sa Pilipinas, mga Palawan locals tapos bumalik doon to do the spying na nga daw. So, yun yung allegation. So, hindi natin alam yung iba pang mga detalye.
Pero without doubt it's spying kasi the agencies they mention na nag-utos sa kanila, they don't
Wala.
even exist Philippine Intelligence Agency.
May mga spies.
May PIA. sa Philippines, pero it's the Philippine Information Agency. It's not the Philippine, and the Philippine Information Agency, hawak nila radio station, TV station, so messaging ng gobyerno. It's nothing to do with intelligence gathering. Oo, doon pa lang, mali na.
Well,
diba?
Nakatakot yung mga ganyan, bigla na lang.
Ayusin nila yan kasi...
And then you cannot blame also some people who will say na, nag-a-assume na retaliation ito kasi last year, di ba, merong mga na-detain dito sa atin na allegedly
you're faking agencies to say na spy kayo. What more would it be? Diba? Well, sana ma-resolve to easily para matanggal yung agam-agam ng mga kababayan natin who are working sa China or who plan to travel to China and its
mga to
regions.
nag-aral lang, di ba?
Nag-aral
Check
lang.
mo yung background nila.
Scholars.
Diba? Check mo yung background nila. Kasi apparently, meron talagang scholarship agreement dito nga sa between yung mga Palawan National 50, no? This scholarship agreement was signed in 2017 at nag-commence ito ng 2018. And I think natapos ata ito ng 2022, I'm not sure. Anyway.
All right, in other news, President Marcos leads the condemnation of over 3 billion worth of vapes and accessories. The Customs Bureau destroyed nearly 3 million pieces of seized and forfeited vape products yesterday. They were confiscated through the conduct of 10 seizure operations. Marcos underscored that these products caused loss and revenue to the government, as well as health issues.
Delikado pa yung vape dahil may lason ngang nakikita na isinasama. Kasi hindi natin naman malaman, hindi natin na-inspection, smuggled nga. Hindi natin ma-inspection, hindi natin alam kung saan galing. We do not know about the manufacturing process that they go through before they come here. So hindi natin malaman kung ito ba'y safe o hindi. Kaya yan ang nagiging malaking problema sa atin.
Meanwhile, Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla said Russian vlogger Vitaly Zodorovetsky will remain in the Philippine custody to face criminal charges instead of being deported immediately. Here's a report.
Russian vlogger Vitaly Zodorovetsky was presented to the public on Monday following his arrest over disrespectful actions in Bonifacio Global City, Taguig. According to Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla, Zodorovetsky will remain in detention until his cases are heard and he is sentenced.
Ang subject natin sa likod ay nagyayabang pa na sinasabi na fake news daw ang kanyang ating pinapakita. Hindi po namin siya i-deport. Mananagot siya sa batas dito sa Pilipinas. Tapos na po ang mga dayuhan, nakala na lang, kaya na lang lapastangin ang mga Pilipino.
Despite Remulla's statement, Zodorovetsky showed no sign of fear or remorse. He smiled in front of the cameras and even applauded after watching his videos.
OFW ang most desired sa buong mundo. First one to be hired, last one to be fired. Ang Pilipino po, pag nabiyahe, ay bihirang-bihira kasuhan at ginagalang natin ng kanilang batas. Ngayon po, may dumating dito na isang Ruso na Amerikano na hinahamak ang ating pagkatao bilang Pilipino.
Zodorovetsky is facing complaints of unjust vexation, alarming scandal, and attempted theft. He is not eligible to post bail in accordance with the Bureau of Immigration's policies.
Ang tao ay ginagalang. Hindi natin ginagamit yan na pagtawanan para pagkakitaan. Kung gusto nyo pagkakitaan ng katarantaduhan nyo, handa kayo dapat pagbayaran natin.
Meanwhile, authorities are still searching for Zodorovetsky's cameraman who is allegedly Filipino. Remulla is now calling on lawmakers to strengthen cyber libel laws to serve as a warning to both foreign and local vloggers. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, we are One News.
Of course, we're not happy with yung pinagagawa mo sa ganyan sa video mo, especially for content because it's escalating already. Not only in the Philippines but in the entire world na what people do to get content. Pero parang sa akin parang overkill na ipaparade mo pa yung tao, magka-press conference ka just for a misdemeanor na ginagawa niya ng ganyan. Diba? Turuan mo ng leksyon, itapon mo sa labas ng bansa, wag mo na papasukin, tapos.
No, kasi ang nangyayari
there are bigger fish to
fry. I know, I
eh.
understand what you're saying, but ang sinasabi kasi ni DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla, he has done this kinds of acts many times in different countries. So parang it's high time for him to face the consequences. Kasi before, sa Egypt daw, umakit siya doon, sa
But there
yung
was a time-
Hollywood sign, he did all of this. So it's not really freedom of expression already. It's more of like crime, abuse,
Yeah, pero
yung mga ginagawa.
what he did in those countries is none of our business. It's the business of the countries he is in. So doon siya i-disiplina. But if we're talking about yung ginawa niya dito, itapon mo na. I mean, you're going to waste state resources, you're going to waste detention facilities para itry mo dito yan.
Ako
And for
nainis
what?
kasi ako dun sa yung habang nasa likod siya, pine-present siya sa tao, patawa-tawa,
Nainis ako.
kinukuha niya yung sombrero ng pulis. Walang remorse, walang paggalang. I don't know.
Oh, no, don't get me
meron
wrong,
ba tayong lost in translation?
No.
Hindi ba niya naiintindihan yung nangyayari?
Don't get me wrong, hindi ko sinasabing kinakampihan ko siya. I condemn his acts in the highest form possible. Hindi ko gusto yung ginagawa niya. Sa totoo nga, kung lalaki ka, may term dyan sarap patikman di ba? Pero ang sinasabi ko, nagpa-press con ka pa for a misdemeanor crime. Nagpa-press con ka pa, tapos usually yung mga ganyan, it's reserved for the likes of what happened kay Kibuloy or other people, bigger fish, di ba? That's what I'm saying. Yun lang naman, di ba? Parang why are you grandstanding something like this? Because he was on social media, he attracts viewership. What is the government trying to do? Trying to spin a positive image because medyo negative yung nangyari kay President Duterte? Yun lang ang sinasabi ko. What are you spinning? Because alam nila yan that he attracts viewership. Alam nila yan mataas. When Vitali is on social media, they know him around the world. Parang si Speed yan sa States malaki ang fan base niyan
I don't care. Anyway, we'll be back with more stories after the
don't
break.
care.
And
Ikaw
I don't
nag-start
care
the
kung
argument,
mataas
you
ang
don't care.
niya, ang
I'm
fan
saying,
base
what
niya.
are you trying-
Dapat pagbayaran niya kung anong ginawa
Hindi ko
niya
sinasabi
dito.
mataas ang fan base niya.
Okay.
No.
More stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
COMELEC issues show cause orders to 3 candidates over remarks said to be discriminatory. These are Pasig congressional candidate Ian Sia, who said single mothers can sleep with him once a year. Re-electionist Misamis Oriental Governor Peter Unabia, who believed that only beautiful women should get scholarships for nursing. And Batangas gubernatorial candidate Jay Ilagan, who targeted his rival Vilma Santos. The poll body reminds midterm bets to be cautious with their words, as an apology afterwards is not sufficient to overturn an election offense.
Wala po nakalagay sa guidelines natin na apology or I am sorry bilang pagpapababa ng kaso o pagpapababa ng bigat ng sinabi. So yan pong mga tinatawag na mitigating circumstances, yan po ay nasa revised penal code kalimitan. O kung yung batas mismo ay nagsasabi na kapag ka may ganito, may pag-amin, ay pwede mapababaan yung parusa sa kanya. Pero yung pong ating anti-discrimination resolution, wala po tayong nailagay doon. And therefore, maaari hindi po ito tumanggap ng mga I am sorry.
Yan,
Election offense, that's the word.
So
That's a
itong
cute
tatlong candidates, pwede naman matanggal sa race.
Well, of course, sabi naman sa atin, di ba, kausap natin kahapon si spokesperson Attorney Rex Laudianco ng COMELEC. Dadaan naman to lahat sa due process. So una muna, show cause order, pag-explain muna sila, and then COMELEC will weigh in, di ba, kung ano yung mga dapat gawin, kung talaga bang dapat sila ay sampahan ng kaso. At iba pa to doon sa mga outsiders, no? Ibig ko sabihin outside the COMELEC na magpa-file ng complaints against them.
Pero kahit hindi daw sila mag-file, pag very clear as day daw yung video na may sinabi, which forms part of yung resolution nila na it's offensive na pinagbabawal, pwede na silang matanggal outright. Because kahit ito yung kay Congressman, yung kay Sia, di ba? Even though if he said joke afterwards, joke lang kasi may asawa naman ako malinaw ang sinabi ni COMELEC Chairman George Garcia, walang sorry pag dito. Walang sorry.
Kasi kaya nga meron silang meron sila yung task force safe to make sure that itong election natin ngayon moving forward ay magiging maayos, secured at safe, no, para sa lahat, especially yung mga nasa marginalized sector.
Supposedly these people are handled by PRs, and PRs are very they're supposed to know the ins and outs of how to craft an image, para nakakapagtaka. Why were they able to say this?
diba?
Baka hindi ba sila nakipag-usap sa PR nila, sa imaging?
Diba, that's what I
You're saying it
told
in
you,
front of a big crowd? Di ba you're saying it in front of a big crowd? Sabihin mo, yung isa,
Sabi ko nga, di ba sa'yo kahapon, wala bang coaching to even before sila umakyat dun sa entablado? At ano yung mga dapat nilang sasabihin. Pero kasi kung ganyan talaga ugali mo, lalabas at lalabas yan kahit gaano ka pakaaral.
or in other words, hindi lang talaga sila makontrol ng coaching. Or since local tong mga positions na ito, hindi na sila nag-hire ng PR. Usually ang PR kasi pag national campaigns like Senator, President, Vice President, may PR. Ito hindi.
Mabaho ugali mo, baho na talaga yan. Pero yung nakita mo yung kalaban ni Governor Vilma Santos, yung nanggigigil pa siya na parang laos na yan, matanda na yan.
Jay Ilagan.
Gigil pa sila. No? Parang, kaya nga sabi ko yesterday, 2025 na ngayon, and these people are still resorting to mudslinging, yung mga lumang style ng pangangampanya. Wala na po yun ngayon. Ibahin na po natin. Itaas natin yung level ng diskurso sa politika.
Huwag natin maliitin ang style of campaigning sa panahon ni President magsaysay. Hindi naman ganun mga kampanya sila magsaysay noon.
Pero yung mga naranasan
actually, mga politicians
na-witness ko nung bata.
if you review them sa mga panahon na yon, they stuck to issues. Sila magsaysay, makapagal.
Yung time nila yon. Pero yung time na nakita ko, wala nang ganun.
You're talking about post-EDSA
post-EDSA.
Oo.
Okay.
Alright, in other news, several cabinet officials will attend the Senate hearing regarding the arrest of former President Duterte on Thursday. According to Palace Press Officer Claire Castro, Malacanang granted the request of Senate President Chis Escudero. The Office of the Executive Secretary gave a list of 11 officials that will be present in the Senate hearing. These include Justice Chief Boying Remulla, PNP CIDG Chief Major General Nicolas Torre, and PNP Chief General Romel Marbil. Recall that they skipped the hearing last week after the palace invoked executive privilege.
Kung nagkausap man po sila ni Senate President Chis Escudero, binigyan din po natin ng pagrespeto ang kanyang hiling. Kaya, provided of course, ito hindi naman din tatalakay sa executive privilege na mga issues.
The Department of Education is proposing significant changes to the senior high school curriculum to provide students with more flexibility and better prepare them for the workforce. One of the most noticeable revisions is the reduction of 15 core subjects down to just 5. The revised curriculum will also merge the current 4 tracks into 2, academic and technical professional. A major change is the introduction of a doorway option, allowing students to select electives across different clusters regardless of their track. The public may provide feedback on the draft curriculum until April 11.
To provide insights on this matter, we are joined by Teachers Dignity Coalition National Chairperson Benjo Basas. Benjo, thank you for joining us.
Hey,
Yes.
good to see you again.
Good morning, Sir Angelo and Ma'am Angela. Good morning po.
So, syempre, we want to know your reaction. Ano ba yung impact nito? Did you expect this change to have on students' learning experience? Kasi ang nagiging problema daw dito kasi doon sa K-12 natin, wala naman daw nag-hire doon sa mga estudyante natin. So, tama ba na galawin natin yung curriculum or i-mandate yung mga kumpanya na i-hire din itong mga graduate ng K-12, sir?
Yeah, maganda po yung panimula ninyo, no? Kasi mukhang hindi naman din problema yung curriculum, of course, tanggapin natin, ano. Yung curriculum ay nakaka-apekto naman talaga, no, doon sa buong programa nitong senior high school natin, no, sa Pilipinas, no, in accordance doon sa K-12 law, no. Pero baka nami-miss natin, no. Baka kapag inayos natin, no, supposedly yung curriculum ay baka umasa tayo na maayos ito, no. So babalikan namin, no, at babalikan yung mga binabanggit naming worry, no, nung 2012, no, nung 2011 nung ito pinaplano pa lamang ng gobyerno, no? At babalikan din natin yung 3 promises, no, ng gobyerno during that time, no. One is of course, no, to prepare, no, the high school students to college, no, Pangalawa, yung sinasabing global competitiveness natin. At pangatlo, yung readiness nila, no, doon sa in terms of job, no.
That's right.
Magiging employable na raw, no, after nung K-12 program or after nung senior high school program. Tama yung point na nilis mo, Ma'am Angela, no. Kasi pag tinignan natin, nasan yung mga senior high school natin na nagtatapos ng senior high school? Kahit ang tinapos nila ay TVL, no, track, yung tech walk track, no, hindi naman sila na-employ. Kasi ang gusto ng mga employers ay
College graduate.
mag-graduate college graduates, no? And even some of our college graduates actually, no, do not land in jobs, no? Ibig sabihin wala talaga, no? May problema tayo, no, na sabihin na natin na systemic, no, sa kabuuan, no? So baka itong although let's be fair, no, doon sa Department of Education kasi sa tingin ko, no, etong parang decongestion, no, ng curriculum ay meron din itong nire-resolve. Kung talagang hindi natin aayusin, kung talagang I think baka hindi naman na talaga maging option sa ating gobyerno yung bumalik doon sa old 10-year cycle, no. At kung hindi na natin to gagawin yun, no, mukhang dito sa curriculum meron tayong kinakailangang baguhin din. At sa tingin namin, isa yan, no, yung pag-decongest ng ating senior high school curriculum.
Benji, itong this doorway option, pag-usapan natin ito. Ano ba ang magiging advantage, pros, o ano ba, let me rephrase, ano magiging pros and cons nitong doorway option na binibigay?
Well, una, hindi na siya matatali, no? Yung mga bata hindi na matatali. Kasi ngayon, pagpasok mo pa lamang, no, ay alam mo na kung nasan kang track, no? Kung academic ba yan, no?
Yeah,
or at yung strands, no? Pati yung strands, no? Medyo mahirap yan. Kasi supposedly, no, sa academics, no, kapag ang kinuha mo ABM o UMS, no, or general academic strand, no, nandun ka lang. No, nandun ka lang, mukhang mahihirapan ka, no, lumipat, no, dun sa iba, no. But dito sa pinaplano ng Department of Education, hindi pa naman natin nababasa, no, yung buong mga subjects, no, pero ito lang yung general lamang, no. So dito ay at least, no, meron ng paraan, no, yung mga bata o yung ating mga magulang mismo, no, na mag-guide sa kanila, no, na pumili nung gusto nilang gawin, no, after nung kanilang high school.
Okay.
Yung nakalagay po dito sa isang mga proposal po dito ng change of curriculum, I was reading it, from 15 core subjects to 5. Have you read about it po? And what's your reaction to that?
Well, yun nga po yung sinasabi natin, ano, medyo congested, no? 15 core subjects, di ba? Lahat ng bata ng senior high school kumukuha niyan, ano, kahit pa ano yung kanilang strand, no, or ano pa yung kanilang track, no. So ngayon ay binaba natin sa 5, no. At ang medyo we appreciate, no, na dito ay sinama na, no, yung matagal na naming sinasabi, no, na Philippine history, no. Although baka tinitignan namin, ano, baka naman ito ay token lang, no. Kagaya nung ginawa, no, doon sa junior high school, no, na nagsabi na may Pilipinas sa Asia, no, parang gano'n, no. But then pag tinignan mo, hindi naman talaga tungkol sa Pilipinas, no, yung tinatalakay, no. But at least, no, doon sa nomenclature nito, no, makikita natin, no, na at least merong pagtingin, no, pagkilala, no, doon sa Philippine history, no. Pangalawa, no, yung isa dito po, no, yung English at Filipino, no, na parang pinagsabay, 'di ba? Mukhang dapat tong paghiwalayan, no, hindi naman po pwede, no, na option, no, ng eskwelahan or nung nung division or nung teacher yung pagtuturo ng English or Filipino, no, as core subject po, no, as proposed, no, under this enhanced, no, or strengthened curriculum na sinasabi po ng Department of Education.
Sir Benjo, I was also reading this, kasi from current 4 tracks that we have right now, ano nga po yan? Yung UMS, General Academics, STEM, ano pa isa, Sir Benji?
Ano po yan,
apat
no?
yun, di ba?
Ang tawag po dyan ay academic track,
Oo,
no?
oo.
Meron po tayong academic track,
Kasi
meron
di-
tayong TVL,
Yun.
meron tayong sports, meron tayong arts, no?
Oo.
Yun po. Tapos under academic, meron po tayong iba-iba, no? Meron tayong UMS, no?
Yun,
Meron tayong
yun.
ABM, STEM, no? And GAS. No?
Yun. So, ang mangyayari daw dito dun sa proposal nila ng change from 4 tracks, magiging 2 na lang. So, parang academics, lahat na yon, yung arts, etc. And then TVL, yun na yon, yung sa livelihood, etc. So, hindi po ba mas okay yun na parang mas streamline siya at mas gagaan yung kumbaga yung pagpipili no ng mga estudyante at magulang? Your thoughts on that po?
Yeah, actually no, yun naman po din napansin na rin naman po 'yan ng mga tao dati no na medyo may problema to sa dami ng mga pagpipilian mo. After all, nasa senior high school ka pa lang naman ano. Nasa high school ka pa rin ano based on our law no. Ito ay basic education pa rin. No, so hindi ka pa tumatawid sa college no. Pag tawid mo sa college, that's the time no. Or pag after mo ng high school, that's the time. No? Napipili ka na talaga kung ano yung magiging buhay mo. Either ikaw ay kukuha ng medisina, kukuha ng abogasya o ng political science no. O kukuha ka ng maglilipat ka no doon sa technical, vocational and livelihood education or sa iba pang track no na gusto mong puntahan ano. So dito po mukhang mas malawak no yung magiging training no sa mga bata, mas malawak yung kanilang matututunan kasi hindi sila nakakulong no doon sa kanilang track like what we are doing now po.
Alright.
Okay, so just to clarify lang po, kayo po ba in favor dito sa proposal na ito, ang Teachers Dignity Coalition? Kayo po ba in favor or not?
Well, sa framework po ng K-12 program, yes. No, sa framework ng K-12 program, ano po, kaya kinaklarify po namin yan. Ano? But sabi nga natin, no, baka kasi matali tayo dito di ba? Mas marami pong problema no beyond curriculum of the senior high school program ang dapat tignan ng ating gobyerno at mas doon namin sana china-challenge yung gobyerno doon sa funding nung dapat no bigyan ng pondo no like facilities no like of course no yung ating mga materials no classrooms natin ano and of course yung ating mga guro yung sweldo benepisyo ng ating mga guro. Yun naman ever since yung hamon natin sa gobyerno no bago pa itong K-12 program. Ang paniwala nga namin kahit dagdagan pa natin yan ng another 3 years gawing K-15 hindi po ito magiging mahusay, di magiging maayos kung hindi natin ina-address yung mga totoong problema ng ating education sector.
Alright, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, Teachers Dignity Coalition National Chairperson Benjo Basas. Thank you so much.
Salamat.
In other news, the Philippine medical team deployed in Myanmar continues to assist earthquake victims. The death toll from the magnitude 7.9 earthquake has now reached 3,600. Here's the report.
The death toll from Myanmar's earthquake rose to 3,600. More than 5,000 people were injured, while 160 others are still missing. This comes after a 7.9 magnitude tremor struck Myanmar last March 28. According to the country's Department of Meteorology and Hydrology, a total of 89 aftershocks up to 7.9 magnitude had been recorded. Over the past few days, Chinese structural experts have assessed nearly 900 buildings in Mandalay. A local volunteer expressed gratitude to the relief efforts and rescue operations.
他们就是随时随地的，他们都在待命着。有什么哪一方面听到什么消息，每一个队伍都是马上出去，非常的感谢他们来到了，我们就感觉看到了希望。我希望带他们去看看我们重建好的家园。
Meanwhile, the Philippine medical team assisted 268 patients. They treated 34 patients at local hospitals and 234 at a temporary medical facility. The search operations for 4 missing Filipinos and other victims are still underway. Despite the difficulties, the capital city of Mandalay is now showing signs of recovery, with businesses reopening and relocation of affected residents. A grocery store has seen doubling of customers since reopening on April 1. Other businesses such as fruit stands and barber shops are also welcoming customers back.
Oo. I was
Oo, may
reading
sinishare ka, no?
the other day, 3 days ago, no, yung nakita ko na, of course, alam naman natin, typical na nakakasama ng mga rescuers natin, yung mga dogs.
Canines.
Canine,
Yeah.
diba? Ito, very first na ginamit ng mga, it was flown in from Singapore, ginamit ng mga rescuers, yung cyborg cockroach. No, meaning yung cockroach, nilagyan nila ng mga cameras,
Wow.
installed cameras, para they can navigate through the rubbles to check kung ano pa yung baka pwede sila
Sabagay.
makakita ng, di ba, ng
Signs of
survivor
life.
doon,
Oo.
signs of life, or whatever.
Sabagay, sa mga ganito, yung mga pasikot-sikot, yung mga ipis talaga ang ano eh.
They will survive us, di ba?
They're the longest survivors sa planet Earth,
Oo,
di ba? Since times of dinosaurs eh.
Oo.
Andun na sila. How about mga, di ba, may canine, pati yung mga mingming, di ba, matrain
Mga
yan.
pusa din.
Di ba, magagaling ang pusa.
Pero ito from Singapore, they flown in nga daw 80 cyborg cockroaches na po pwedeng although as of now wala pa naman sila nakikitang mga from the cyborg yung tulong ng cyborg. Ang pinakatulong na nakikita nila dito is yung na-navigate nila yung inside the rubbles kung ano yung meron sa inside pa doon under the
Kasi ang
rubbles.
isang challenge po, just to para ma-explain sa isang challenge ng rescuer, aside from yung looking for signs of life, is to navigate through rubble because pagkamali sila ng bunot ng rubble, it could collapse the entire
Yes.
foundation. Kung sino may natitira man lang survivor doon, pwedeng madaganan.
Yes.
So by putting that cyborg cockroach, makikita nila ano yung mga specific pressure points ng isang foundation na pwedeng galawin at hindi pwedeng galawin. Aside
Nakita
from
nila yun,
actually
from the
looking
tiny
for life.
camera,
Oo.
electrodes, they call it electrodes na naka-install doon sa cockroach.
Nako, baka
Dinevelop daw yan ng mga students sa Singapore, then they flown it.
wag lang sana gamitin ng mga vlogger, na.
Ay, nako.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
Summertime means tule or circumcision. Time for most young Filipinos. Let's check on the Oplan Tule in Manila.
Takot ako,
Hindi
kala
ka
ko.
naman, diba?
Baka ako.
With mobile journalist Merimon Reyes. Hey Merimon, tell us what's happening there.
Yes, good morning. Ngayong araw nagsimula na o nilunsad ng lokal na pamahalaan ng Maynila kasama ang Manila Health Department yung kanilang citywide Operation Tule. So that's from April 8 to April 25 pero i-minus natin yung mga holidays. So that's 10 days ng libreng Tule operations. And dito ngayon sa Bagong Barangay Health Center sa Pandacan, nasa 10 na yung mga bata na naging successful itong kanilang pagsasailalim sa operasyon ng Tule. Pero garantisado naman ayon sa physician in charge dito sa health center na si Dr. Stephen Ting, kumpleto from pre-screening, evaluation, para makita muna nila yung preparedness ng bata, physically ready, mentally ready. Chine-check din nila dito kung yung kanyang ari ba ay, kung masasabi natin, candidate na para sa Tule kasi hindi pwedeng pilitin kung sakaling hindi pa talaga up to par o hindi pa ready yung bata mentally and physically. Rest assured din daw para sa mga bata na natatakot pa na sumailalim sa pagpapatuli, meron namang anesthesia and lahat ng mga doktor o nurses na humahawak sa kanila o nagsasailalim sa kanila dito sa operasyon, garantisado naman yung pagbantay sa kanila. After ng kanilang pagpapatuli, dito naman ulit sa kung saan sila pin-screen or in-evaluate, bibigyan naman sila ng prescription meds dito sa aking likuran. And dito ipapaliwanag ano ba yung dapat asahan, yung pain mararamdaman, yung anesthesia, epekto kasi nito mawawala na after a few minutes,
Yes,
a few hours.
oo.
So ito yung medication na kailangan nila. And if ever sa mga susunod na linggo, kung may persisting na pain pa rin, pwede pa rin naman daw silang bumalik sa mga local health centers para mapa-check up.
Merimon, linawin ko lang, no? This is free for Manila residents sa Manila LGU.
Yes, libre siya, pero ang sabi nila, Manileños or non-Manileños, nakapag-register man daw or walk-in, lahat naman daw i-accommodate
Okay,
nila. Pero kailangan din sigurong linawin dito na per day, merong specific health center sa 6 na distrito dito sa Maynila. So para hindi din masayang yung pamasahe nila, yung oras nila, i-double check muna nila kung saang local health center ba sila pupunta para sa libreng papapatuli.
Ayun. So, Merimon, kunyari, taga-QC ako, basta naka-register ako ng maayos, pwede ako pwede mag-avail pwede mag-avail dyan sa libreng tuli.
O yun ang nasabi nila sa atin. Pero yung ilan kasi sa mga requirements dito ay yung ID, PhilHealth card, mga valid
okay.
IDs ng parents, guardians, saka nung bata. Pero nung natanong kasi natin, what if merong maligaw dito na hindi Manileño? Sabi naman daw nila, open naman daw din sila to accommodate ang mga ito. Pero syempre, lilinawin din nila na kung meron ding local health center doon sa lungsod nila, pwede rin naman doon nilang isagawa kung magkaroon din ng libreng tuli.
Just to be clear, Marymon, ilang taon yung mga pwedeng pumunta dyan? At saka hanggang kailan?
Yes. Itong kanilang citywide operation Tuli will run from today, April 8 until April 25 ngayong taon. Pero dinibang ito ni Dr. Ting na as early as 11 years old, ini-encourage na or dapat ma-check na raw yung mga bata para sa pagpapatuli. Pero yung age limit, kung hanggang anong edad ba pwede o dapat magpatuli, wala daw itong hangganan. Kasi it's for hygienic purposes, for the long run, wala naman daw problema, wala namang risk na makukuha dito. Ang risk pa nga na pwedeng makuha kung sakaling hindi mag-undergo ng circumcision, yung infection. Lalo na kung hindi tayo naglilinis ng ari natin, lalo na sa mga bata. Yun yung iniiwasan natin long term, plus to avoid infections in the long run.
Meron may data ka pa dyan or may nakausap ka kung may mga above, mga adults na nagpapatuli pa rin?
Yes, natanong natin kay Dr. Ting. As a matter of fact, meron din silang sa ilalim sa pagpapatuloy na senior citizen. So it's really a case-to-case basis. Pero hinihikayat nga nila na yung mga bata pa lang, think long term, for their hygiene, for their health, kung nandyan ang support system ng magulang, ng guardians nila, for their wave of confidence, for their health, maganda rin daw na ipatuloy na ang mga ito.
Alright, sige. Maraming salamat sa iyo, mobile journalist, Marymon Diaz.
And now cancer remains a tough challenge for medical science, but a research team from the University of the Philippines may have found a promising solution, the Philippine Blue Sponge. Para bigyan ng mukha ang balita, Mobile Journal, Denise Valdesancho.
Isang all-female research team mula UP ang pinag-aralan ang potensyal ng sea sponge para makatulong kontra breast cancer.
Isa ang Pilipinas sa mga bansa sa Asia na may pinakamataas na kaso ng breast cancer. Hanggang ngayon, patuloy pa rin ang mga pananaliksik sa solusyon sa sakit na ito. At kabilang na dyan ang all-female research team mula University of the Philippines Marine Science Institute na pinangungunahan ng marine scientist na si Dr. Gisela P. Concepcion. Ang pinag-aaralan nila, isang potent compound mula Philippine Blue Sponge na Raniera-Mycin M o RM.
Kinuha namin yung natural sponge, yung nakita namin sa Puerto Galera.
Ang nadiskubre nila.
In our case, what we discovered and focused on was the combination of Raniera-Mycin M with the clinically used standard breast cancer drug doxorubicin.
Kapag pinagsama kasi ang dalawang compound, bumubuo ito ng tinatawag na synergistic effect kung saan na-enhance ng RM ang cancer-fighting effects ng doxorubicin, isang synthetic drug na gamit sa cancer.
Affordable na yan. Synthesized na yan. Synthetic na yan. Doxorubicin is an anthracycline. Alam mo kung saan siya na-isolate first? From a bacterium, Streptomyces, in the Adriatic Sea.
Napatunayan nila yan nang makitang lumiit ang tumor sa pamamagitan ng in vivo studies o pag-aaral na isinasagawa sa isang buhay na organismo.
So nakita namin yan na meron talagang reduction in the primary tumor size.
Dagdag pa niya, mas mababa ang morbidity ng gamitin ng pinagsamang RM at doxorubicin at nakita rin nilang mas bumaba ang metastasis o pagkalat ng cancer sa baga. Bukod pa dyan, napatunayan din nilang magandang gawing gamot ang RM base sa chemical structure nito.
So itong aking animal study ngayon, first step pa lang yan. Yan yung tinatawag na stage of drug discovery development na very early stage proof of concept.
Mahaba man ang pagdadaanan, mahalagang may nasimulan at may nagbibigay pansin sa mga ganitong uri ng pananaliksik na layong tumulong sa pagpuksa ng mga karamdamang milyon-milyon na aapektuhan. Mobile Journal, Denise Valdesancho po, hatid ang mukha ng balita.
Alex Ayala moves 2 spots in the latest edition of the WTA rankings to world number 73. Ayala's historic Miami Open finish propelled her into the top 75 from the 140th spot. But due to movement of players, there were changes in the rankings which bumped her up further. New career high rankings are expected for the 19-year-old Filipina. Her big leaps could give her a big boost in making her Grand Slam debut in the upcoming French Open. She then plays at another tournament at the Madrid Open before the end of the month.
The third season of the Makabansa Basketball League or MBL kicked off on April 5 at the Meralco Gym in Pasig City. The opening ceremony was attended by key figures including Education Secretary Sani Angara, Attorney Mike Toledo of the MVP Group and Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas, Executive Director Erica D. Toledo emphasized the power of sports in fostering nation building, unity and collaboration across sectors. Angara, on the other hand, underscored the importance of strong public utilities and partnerships like those championed by MBL in driving sustainable development. Meanwhile, MBL founder and Meralco representative attorney Oscar Jang Moreno Jr. reaffirmed the league's core mission to build relationships, promote healthy competition, and inspire civic engagement. This year's tournament features 14 participating teams from various government agencies and private companies.
And congratulations to Alex Ayala and of course itong opening ng MBL. At saka yung yung discovery ng Blue Sponge.
Blue Sponge is very interesting.
Pwede, possibility na makatulong sa paggamot sa
Every
cancer.
decade or so, there's something new gives hope to those who are fighting cancer. And those, who may find out in the future. So magandang idea na to na hopefully one day maging cancer-free tayo lahat. Alright, and with that, I'd like to leave everyone with a quote. And my concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunzad Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.